Hello, everybody. Welcome to Bill Naiman's Bogus Hangout. We're going to have I'm going to let people introduce themselves. Doc?
Hello, everybody. Doc Sheldon here of Intrinsic Value SEO, Search News Central, bringing my radio face to the video.
Steve?
Steve Grinzer with Steam Driven Media, and I'm already drinking today.
Gotta be thirsty. And I'm Bill Slosky. I'm the author at SEO by the Sea and the director of SEO research for Go Fish Digital. And I've been doing all kinds of research this morning. I found a bunch of patents at the patent office that I'm gearing up to write blog posts about.
Are you going to phrase those in a way that make people go crazy?
Short trip.
I think some could. And some are going to need more explaining because some of them stand out, immediately understand what they mean by the titles. Things like RMAC discovery of popular landmarks. But some of them are a bit obtuse, like enforcing category diversity. If you're familiar with local search category decisions, they've always been kind of questionable. So they're
kind of,
yeah. Yeah, so sometimes it's good to dig deeper into local search to try to understand what they're doing there. Because some of it is evolving in ways that they're not talking much about. Like if you're familiar with Google's local history, they keep track of everywhere you go, or they try to. You know, if you use Google Maps to navigate to places, they try to get you to tell them where your home is and where your office is. If they happen to be the same place, sometimes they label them wrong, or they label them unusually. So they show you a timeline of your day on a Sunday or something, how you traveled from work to one place and back to work again. So I wasn't working.
Actually, for those of us in the self-employed crew, that's actually pretty close to accurate. 20-hour days.
I think so, yeah.
I've been trying desperately to see if I can get Google Local to identify the difference between the house, which is the farm, and my office, which is about 200 feet away. So when I do things, will it put me on the farm or will it put me at work?
I like how it, when I visit someplace, it'll sometimes ask me about the place next door to it.
Yeah.
If I'm there. If I'm there at present. It'll also ask me what I've taken pictures of. Would you like to submit a photo of that business to Google Maps? And sometimes I've taken a picture of something outside of business that isn't the business. And it's sort of tempting to upload it to Google Maps anyway.
We have just a little subtle trick is we've been taking really cool photos nearby businesses and then putting them in the business GMB and labeled on the photo near here, and found that a lot of these get real popular, which increases the popularity of your GMB listing. And yeah, so like we've got I have a friend who's got a business that's out right on the river, So they're constantly taking pictures of cool stuff going on the river and posting it on their GMB. And then people are like, "Oh, I like this picture."
I've
Good
been
idea. Yeah.
told by people that it's not a bad idea to go inside of a business and take a photo of like the inside.
Okay.
And sometimes your photos end up being the photo used in
Mhm.
the My Maps image. When somebody wants to go to a place, navigate to a place,
Right.
they might show your photo. So you might get like thousands of views over a short period of time, depending how busy the place is.
Who was it? Somebody else, I forget who it was now, had mentioned taking pictures of their receipts, like at restaurants.
Yeah.
You blur out the important data, but that way you can show how much it costs to have lunch or dinner or whatever at a different place. And I'm just surprised how little it's being used.
Haven't really seen anybody talking about it. It's probably still a relatively unknown secret.
So Google Lens will highlight foods in the menu that they recommend. So if you take a picture of a menu and look at it through Google Lens, it may bold some of the menu choices as suggestions.
Based upon what? Any idea? Popularity?
People providing reviews, popularity, yeah.
Okay. Wasn't aware of that either.
Yeah, it's one of those new Google I/O features that was covered in the I/O presentation a couple days ago.
Bringing all kinds of good nuggets today, Bill.
Yeah, there's an article, a recent article, 100 things we learned at Google I/O. That's worth taking a look at because it's filled with things like that.
Remember where it was?
I tweeted it, but let me see if I can find it real quick.
God, these people still use Twitter?
I was going to say, what's a tweet?
It was a Google blog post
Okay, yeah. 100 things we announced at IO 18
at
and
19.
IO 19. Yeah, okay. Only 10 things for IO 19.
No, I've got 100.
Okay, I got it. This is a different article. 10 articles, 10 lessons learned from inspiration sessions at IO 2019. Okay.
100 things we announced in I/O.
And here's 100 things Google is on Gizmodo. 100 things Google announced this week.
Yeah.
Gizmodo Australia. Yeah, there's a lot of articles on IO. Okay. I had seen a couple of these, but I hadn't seen that one.
Yeah, that was worth taking some time out to watch.
I'll do it.
They video all those, they live stream them and then save them to YouTube so you can watch them later.
And there goes my afternoon. Like I was going to be that productive anyway. You know?
Well,
Sometimes you come across the right thing that can save you lots of time, so it's worth taking the time out to do things like that.
Yeah. I stumbled across, somebody mentioned in a Facebook thread something yesterday, and just on a whim, I've clicked on the link and found like eight or 9 things out of a list of about 15 that I thought didn't exist. So I added to my bookmarks. There's some cool stuff in there that I stumbled across thanks to somebody just dropping a link that turned out not to even be an appropriate link for the questions that they were helping answer. Sure answered some questions I didn't know I had, though.
So basically, it's the kind of link I drop. Totally unrelated, but usually entertaining.
There you go.
Yeah.
Anybody else get an invite today to judge the U.S. Search Awards?
No.
I got one, and went back and forth on LinkedIn with her and sending me the information. Appeared to be legit. First thing I thought was, this is a scam, it's a phishing thing, But
Yeah.
appears to
trying to broaden their international.
Well, this is for U.S. Search Awards.
At PubCon.
Yeah, in Vegas.
Yeah.
And they also handle this is an agency that also handles the UK Search Awards. So looks like it's legit. I was kind of tickled.
Cool.
They must have really been scraping the bottom of the barrel to dig up this old man.
I think there have been people talking about a lack of diversity in judges.
Yeah, I need more gray hair in there, eh?
Probably not a bad idea. But I think maybe they're searching for the fact that you're not in the U.S. You're in Mexico.
Possibly, they may be aware of that. I don't hide the fact that I'm in Mexico, but my office is in San Diego, so
yeah.
I don't know.
Not that you ever go to that.
Well, it's where the heart is,
Mm-hmm. So, are you thinking about doing that?
Judging the awards, sure. Yeah, I already accepted.
Oh, does that mean you'll be going to Las Vegas for PubCon?
It's not off the table. I don't have to be present for the presentation. It's an online judging thing, but it would be a good excuse to get off my butt and go. I've always wanted to get to PubCon Vegas anyway.
It's enjoyable.
Well, yeah, it's some great networking and it may not be the most heavily concentrated of technical sessions, but there's always something there that's valuable. There's always some good speakers, and I'd love to meet some of the folks that I've known on, quote unquote, known online for so long.
Yeah.
I'd like to hit SMS Advanced sometime, and I'd love to go to PubCon Austin just because my son lives 15 minutes from there. I haven't seen him in years, but and I'd like to get to the UK for the oh God, I just went blank. You just went to one over there, Bill. What's the big one? The big up and coming conference over there in the UK? Shit.
Brighton.
Yeah, Brighton SEO. I'd love to hit that one, and I'd like to get down to Perna's down in Adelaide too. Big Digital.
Yeah.
That seems to be taking off nicely.
I put a pitch in for the Brighton in September. So maybe I'll end up going. And I'm going back to Italy this year.
Yeah, you mentioned that they asked you back again. That's great.
It was really nice. I enjoyed seeing some of Milan. So I'm happy to be going back.
I was talking to somebody this morning that said that if they could get back to Europe, they'd probably never come home.
And
Well, I
London was a lot of fun. It was great meeting all the UK SEOs who I've known for years, and
Yeah.
I get to meet about 15 of them or so.
Well, that's the way I am. I mean, I've been, when I first started in SEO, I'd say, oh wow, I would love to have an opportunity to go meet this person, that person, But now I've known some of these folks for 15, 17, 18 years, and at the closest we've ever come to meeting has been in a video, a hangout.
Yeah.
And it would be a trip, because it would be a whole bunch of people at just about any major conference that I'd finally get to lay a glad hand on. It would be great. Of course, then all I got to do is justify to Obama the 4-digit expense thing. The $3,000 for air and hotel, another $5 for the bar tab.
Well,
Then there's the whole convincing them to let you come home.
PubCon shouldn't set you back that much, at least.
Nah, PubCon would be a piece of cake. I would probably drive it anyway.
Really?
Yeah, it's a pretty quick shot up to 15. Not a bad drive.
Driving through the desert's always made me cautious about doing that.
What, sleepy? Kind of get hypnotized and nod off?
After driving through parts of New Jersey in the middle of the night, stuff like that, I don't necessarily want to drive through parts of Nevada in the middle of the night.
Well, the plus to Nevada driving at night is you're not going to have some 180-pound buck suddenly leap out in front of your car. Yeah, you might get a 12-pound armadillo or an 8-pound rabbit. At worst case, about a 25-pound coyote.
Okay.
The only risk of driving in the desert is if you have car problems, you might be 95 miles from anything.
Yeah.
That would be a problem. So I was about 50 miles from anything when I broke down once and really decided I needed a cell phone. And that's what inspired me to get my first one.
Of course, you probably wouldn't have had any signal out there anyway. So.
Well, I did manage to walk to a shopping market and found a grocery store with a payphone. They still did have those back then. I had no change, so I had to buy some from the cashier and call to a company.
When I was working in LA and we decided to put a plant down in Mexico across from El Centro, down right below the Mojave Desert. I had a company car, and I didn't. I think the president of the company and the sales manager were the only two people that actually had cell phones. And that's back when they were bricks, Yeah. Remember the big white brick with the slanted mouthpiece on it? That's what they had. And I started driving down to Mexicali once a week for the construction meetings. And the president called me and said, "Hey, got you a present." He hands me a phone. Because you're driving down across that desert down there, you shouldn't be taking a chance on getting your car breaks down. You could be spending the night. Oh, okay, cool, thanks. Checked it out. It worked great. That next week, I had to go down to Mexicali. I got about halfway between Palm Springs and Indio and hit something in the road that blew out a tire.
Yeah.
And I had 0 bars signal. There was nobody. The first 77 vehicles that went by, I tried to flag down, just right on by. They're not going to stop for some strange-looking guy in the middle of the desert, I said, "Yeah, this thing was." I said, "Next time, tell you what, I'll trade you this phone back for a tire patch kit. How's that?" But that back then, the coverage in California was real sparse. That was about the time when Nextel was talking about launching. They were still gearing up, and we were already signed up. We wanted to have those Nextels, and there weren't any towers yet on the West Coast. And I mean, just regular cell towers were sparse. There was a lot of, just between San Diego and LA, you only had maybe 20 miles of coverage in between the two. That was around Pendleton. But Nextel finally came out. We thought, boy, these are great. But if you walked 2 blocks, you lost your signal.
I have that problem here.
Well, yeah, I would imagine you do.
And sometimes it's not even 2 blocks, it's 10 feet.
Now, I've got a booster in my home that's connected to my Wi-Fi. Phone calls would just drop out on me in the middle of my dining room.
That can get aggravating in a hurry.
So Verizon mailed plans to everybody about the towers that they were building into the community. They were hiding in fake-looking street lights. And
I know I got out of my Verizon cell phone contract when I moved here because I called them up and said I had no signal at my house, and they're like, "That's not possible." And they sent out a truck, and the truck called them back and said, "Yeah, it's possible. Let him out of his contract."
It's possible.
And they have no plans on adding more, which sucks.
Yeah, when you get rural, even getting electricity to your property can be challenging if you don't have enough paying neighbors that want to pitch in.
I lived in Northern Virginia in a part that was mostly rural, and they didn't want towers to impede their view of the landscape.
Yeah.
Yep. And I've offered a piece of my land to put up a tower. It's like, dear God, please. and we're remote enough. When we built the house, they had to set 3 new telephone poles to bring power out to us.
And you didn't have to pay for those?
Nope.
Well, down here you do.
They were.
If they'll pick it up if you're within, I think it's 2 miles. I think it used to be 5, but I think it's been knocked down to 2 miles. But if you're like 7 miles off, you're going to pay for every post and the labor and the cable to get it within that 2 mile range.
3 poles is only a quarter of a mile.
Yeah.
They're not that far apart. But yeah, it's certainly a trade-off being out here.
Yeah, it's not a problem in Southern California. There's enough sprawl here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And enough subscribers to make it well worth the while to put it in, too.
Yeah.
Were you planning on talking about what we were talking about in the green room, Bill?
We could.
That was interesting as hell.
Mm-hmm. So one of the patents that I came across this morning was called semantic frame identification with distributed word representations. Semantic frame is something that was a process that's been undertaken by Berkeley University in what they refer to as frame semantics, where they generate languages that are specific to industries or affiliate groups. So if you have musicians or you have construction workers, you create a vocabulary that they use, and it's referred to as a frame. So if you have websites that are for construction or musicians, they'll use a lot of jargon that's applicable to that frame. So if you do some type of word embedding, word vector type thing, where you're trying to understand the words in a corpus, if you apply a frame to that corpus, it'll help a search engine learn about the meanings of words on your web page that may be specific to a certain industry. It makes that type of the process behind something like RankBrain uses those word vectors. So it makes those word vectors much more specific and make them smarter by applying those frame semantics to them.
Yeah, that could open up some really interesting opportunities if that is implemented by Google.
I mean, if you have a construction website and you refer to certain things in there, Google will understand the context much better. And that's how things like RankBrain are optimized for. You don't include the clicks on your page.
Well, Steve and I are working together right now on a client in the contracting business. That there would be some opportunity there. It could be really nice if in fact Google does start implementing those jargon vectors, from FrameNet.
Right.
That could be because this is a brand new patent grant, but I don't know. I haven't looked yet to see how long has Berkeley been working on this thing. I'm going to assume that it's not terribly wide knowledge. I've never heard of it. I know that.
Well, Berkeley's been working on FrameNet for years, and there are people at Google who have volunteered to add to FrameNet, sort of like they used to with Freebase.
Mm-hmm.
So,
which opens up the possibility that they may already be incorporating it to some degree into their algorithms.
It's possible. That patent was, let's see if I can find that one. It just granted, it was filed in January of 2016.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it was just granted today.
Yeah, that might be worth looking into. For sure.
I mean, it's a smarter RankBrain.
Of course, I would just be happy if they'd figure out how to make their ads present only when you're where you want them to.
If they,
Well, I love your ability to hold on to your dreams, Steve.
Well, it's like, you've got we're running local ads for clients, and you go, okay, there's the circle I want you to run the ad in, and then you look at the geographic map, and there's like one over here in Canada, and there's one down in Florida, and it's like, why are they not? You know where these are? They're obviously not in this circle. Why am I paying for them?
Have you ever called them on it?
Well, yes, I have, and every once in a while they offer to give us a little bit of a credit, but it's generally more effort to get the credit than it is to just expect them to do their job. That's why, while this kind of stuff that you're talking about now is awesome, and it's like, look how smart these people are. And on the other hand, you're like, seriously, you can't draw a circle on a map?
just when I thought you could tie your own shoes, you eat the teacher.
Some things you get better over time with Google, like walking directions on Google Maps. I would try to find a place, be standing outside in front of a hotel, enter the name of the place. It's supposed to be 2-3 blocks away, and try to follow those directions, and they're impossible. Now they've added augmented reality to it, and you take a photograph of a building you're nearby, and they'll give you directions based upon that. So the
I run into that all the time here. It's like they know where I live, and I'm logged in all the time. And so then I type in, AutoZone Lexington, and they send me to one in Kentucky that's 400 miles away. And it's like, no, Lexington's 12 miles away the other direction. Why do I have to put Tennessee at the end of all of these? You know where I'm at.
It's a good question.
They just, like I said, there are times where you just go, you remind me of my sister. She's got 1 or 2 things that she's absolutely brilliant at. The rest of the time, you just kind of look at her and go, really? I suppose it wouldn't be so bad around here, except for the 3 closest towns are also major towns in other states, but they're minor little cities or little towns here. So it's like if I say Lexington, it sends me to Kentucky. If I say Jackson, it sends me to Mississippi. And if I say Savannah, it sends me to Georgia. And it's like, really? Come on. I'm in the middle of those 3 cities. How could you not get this?
I lived in Cardiff, which is like 5 miles from here, and I would type in Cardiff pizza, and it would show me Wales.
Easy walking distance.
Yeah. Like, it's not the Cardiff I live in, which I'm typing this at. Come on.
That's got to be damn good pizza.
And I run into the different thing because when I'm sitting at our place in Mexico, and I'll ask for, auto parts Chula Vista, which is a suburb basically of San Diego.
Yeah.
And it'll show me the right results, but because it sees my IP is in Mexico, it puts it all in Spanish.
No.
Which isn't that big a deal for most things, but if I'm looking for a carburetor rebuild kit, I might not know the Spanish equivalent of it off the top of my head. And the other day I was using a proxy, and I was looking at a prospect site in the Ukraine. So I was using a proxy out of Kiev, and I left it there. I forgot about it, and I went back and pulled up Google and did a search for something, and all this Cyrillic comes up on it. What the fuck? Then I realized what I'd done. It was sure I was still in Kiev.
I always wonder that about YouTube. I'll be watching YouTube, and all of a sudden I'll get a string of like 7 or 8 commercials in a row that are all in Spanish. I'm like, really? I'm a pasty white guy in Tennessee.
Yeah, or Korean.
We don't know any
Chinese.
language. Yeah. The only language we know here is bad english.
We know just English, and we don't even know that very well.
No. That's one of the reasons I have very little fear of artificial intelligence. It might actually be a good thing.
Got to be an improvement, right? Native intelligence hasn't been really impressive here lately, so.
It's human stupidity, artificial intelligence. Choose one.
I know who I'm voting for next election. There's a computer sitting somewhere in a room that's got to be better.
I'm not sure.
I'm pledging for Kermit the Frog.
I remember less artificial intelligence that used Twitter. It was from Microsoft. Yeah.
Only took him a few hours to corrupt that bastard.
It's racist.
It was a quick learner. You got to give it that.
Yeah.
It did learn fast.
Mm-hmm. Of course, it is a target-rich environment.
Well, this is true too.
It sort of made me caution using Twitter too much because you never quite know what would rub off.
That's why I try to go there only if a close friend tweets something or asks me if I'll give him a retweet. That's about the only time I even go to Twitter. It's just not worth the effort to even try to keep up with the hose. You know, I can't remember how many years it's been since I was bored enough to go there and see what people are talking about, you know, just out of casual interest. Jeez. Facebook is bad enough, to tell you the truth, but at least it's within your community, it can be productive. But, you know, when I went offline for 3 days here for our anniversary, 3 lousy days I went offline. I came back and my feed was chock full of people that I didn't even know I was connected to, because I wasn't interacting constantly with the same people I interact with almost daily. I paused for 3 days, and all of a sudden I've got all these folks that I don't even remember or haven't heard of, and God, I thought you were dead, you know. And the folks that I do talk to constantly disappeared.
My favorite part about Facebook is when you see two things right next to each other that you want to look at. You click on the first one, you look at it, and you click back, and the other one is just gone.
Oh yeah, if you're on your feed, that happens to me daily, multiple times per day. That's why I click on a new tab. That's why I end up with 178 tabs open. Because if I want to see both things, I open them both in a new tab.
But that's like isn't that like a core ADA compliance issue, where the back button is supposed to take you to where you were?
Well, it does, and you were,
but it doesn't, because the content has changed.
You were on Facebook.com, and you are back on Facebook.com. And the content of that page at this moment is your responsibility because of your interactions and history. Okay, you know, that's a defense that they would probably be very successful with.
And some user interfaces like infinite scroll or make findability of things like that almost impossible.
Yeah. The best you could do is you could possibly make it, force your browser to take you back to your cached page. But you certainly can't hold Facebook responsible for it, because they gave you right back what you just asked for. Yeah, I mean, much as I like blaming Zuck for everything on the face of the planet, that's one I got to give him,
Well, it looks like they're getting sued again.
Yep.
This morning there was something about Facebook started going through and blowing away all these populist groups. I guess that's a European political party that leans right, and all of a sudden all their groups and pages started getting deleted.
They're going to take some flack over that. Right, wrong, or indifferent.
Yeah. Well, they're in the same position Google is. They're to the size now, and with their actions, they are kind of no longer a platform. They are a publisher.
Mm-hmm.
And that puts them under a whole different set of rules and regulations that they don't want to follow.
Of course.
Different sets of rules and regulations that being found as a utility would occur. Which is like equal access to everybody.
Yeah. And they like playing fast and loose somewhere in the middle and take a little bit of this and a little bit of that and say, okay, this is what we are. It's like, well, no, technically you're not.
Well, that's like I still think that back when Google underwent their shift to Alphabet, I think that was them trying to be proactive against a potential breakup order someday. Gives them the ability to break things into different packets that could possibly have their own profit center, as opposed to having all these different cost centers focused around one central profit center, because they could be forced to break off ads separately. That would leave everybody else starving to death.
I see Google segregating some of the stuff they have.
Yep.
Like in the patent world, they used to assign all their patents to Google, and for a while they were assigning some of the data center stuff to a company called Exaflop, which went away. But after Alphabet showed up, they started assigning the medical patents to Verily instead of Google. And so I don't see too many medical patents when I search for Google patents these days. But there are a lot of them, and there are a lot under Verily. Now, Microsoft has Bing, and they never publish anything under Bing.
Right.
So they're not trying to hide or segregate that type of information.
Microsoft's been down that path before, though.
Yeah.
I just got to think that there's people at Microsoft going, really? After what you put us through, you're letting these two guys get away with what they get away with?
Yeah. And that's a valid question, too. I'd be asking it. Because the situation now is certainly a lot worse than it was when they were gunning for Microsoft.
Yeah.
I think Microsoft has a lot more positive reputation now than it used to.
Well, as long as if we're not going to put the way they handle the updates on Skype on the table, then I would agree. Yeah, yeah they
or Windows or Office or all of their update processes suck.
Yeah, I think it's a fair statement, though. In terms of their product, like I use Office 365, but I was using, buying Windows Office for a long time, Microsoft Office rather, and damn it, it's a good product.
And it costs an arm and a leg.
It does cost an arm and a leg. Office 365 isn't as costly, at least in one fell swoop, to have to go out and buy Office. But I think it was unfairly expensive. But hey, if you want to use it, I mean, I don't know where I would pick up an old copy of WordPerfect, so I'm going to stick with Word. But I mean, it's a nice complete package. It's debugged pretty well.
Your options like Open Office?
Well, or Google Docs, which are, for those that are used to it, I suppose it's fine. But I get so frustrated. There are some commands, for instance, I use a lot in Excel that I don't use in Google Docs often enough to really have it all, muscle memory telling me exactly where to find it there. And they don't make a goddamn thing easy to find in Docs.
And there's a handful of features still in Excel.
I've had to go use Google to search for, can this even be done in Docs Excel, in a spreadsheet. And sure. Here, do this, go there, stand on one foot and tap your tummy, and you can find it right here, Something that is basically just, an alt and a key in Excel.
Right.
Doesn't need to be quite that complex. So you could actually get really radical and put it in a goddamn menu bar,
Like crawl a website with Screaming Frog and I export that to Excel.
Good luck.
I'm not sure that Google Docs can handle the number of items.
Well, it's not only that, but it trashes the format. If you import it as a CSV and then format it over there, you can get away with it. But it's so much easier to work on your own system, on your system, and then upload it as an Excel file. And not anything, but a lot of the formatting you did, I actually did one not too long ago where I had a formula that was going from like N23 plus O23 divided by P23 yielded to Q23, okay? And then I had Q23 and Q24 yielding to Q25. And it totally trashed all of them because they were interrelating a horizontal and a vertical formularization, and it fucked them all up. God, I was so pissed.
Yeah.
And I tried it like 6 times. It would not upload without messing up the formulas.
Yeah. I do most of my work in Excel still, and then drag final layout into Docs just to share with clients.
Yeah. I just drop it in Dropbox. If you want it, there it is. At least then I know it'll work.
But we still heavily use Access here.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of old legacy stuff that was built, and we're still using it to process data, and I have no reason to change.
It works.
None. It works. It does everything we want it to do. It could be a little faster, but it's certainly better than exposing all this data on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't used Access the whole time I've been in SEO. I was using it when I worked for the courts. I was doing things like I maintained a carrying concealed deadly weapon database for the county I was in.
Would that be like everybody back there, wouldn't it? It's just import census 1980, you know.
It was Delaware, so.
Oh, okay.
You know, I'm not talking Texas.
Well, I thought maybe you were talking about Virginia or something.
It would have been almost for everybody in Virginia. I remember the elections. The person from the Republican Party would call and tell you how long they've been a card-carrying member of the National Rifle Association. And then the Democrat would call and tell you how long they'd been a member of the National Rifle Association.
Like, for example, we've got one of our clients right now, all we do for him is analytics, because he's a large player in the affiliate market, and he's using 4 or 5 different platforms, and none of those platforms talk to each other. And the best we can do, because 2 of them don't have APIs, we can't even write scripts to get into them. All we can do is download a CSV every so often. So then we have our own database where we throw all that data into that big bucket and shake it and spit out what we need. Otherwise, he's just, flying blind, has no idea what they're doing. So,
like you, Bill, I've used Access. I can only recall one time when I've used it in SEO, and that's just because the guy I was working with had already put everything into a database. But almost anything that I want to do, I can do in Excel.
Yeah.
And if I don't know how to do it and I can't find online how to do it, I'll just buzz Annie Cushing. And if she don't know how to do it, it can't be done in Excel.
That's cheating.
If she don't know how, the gal that showed the Microsoft engineers that it could do shit they didn't think it could do.
Yeah.
It's funny. And I usually use Excel for every site I audit.
Yeah.
Because I've gotten used to creating content inventories from crawls. And it makes sense to be able to provide people with just one document that provides an overview of how keywords are used on pages and other information about what's on their site.
Have you ever used Content Insight for that, Bill?
No.
You got to check it out. Give you the link here. I'll find the tab. There you go.
Thanks. Who's this from?
I don't recall off the top of my head who does it, but I've been using them for several years. They've been around for a good while. And it's very handy for content inventory,
Mm-hmm.
for content audit.
Yeah.
And you can download the stuff in an Excel spreadsheet.
It looks interesting.
And I haven't used it in several months, but as I recall, it's the billing is just you buy some credits, as I recall. Check the pricing here. No, I guess it isn't either. They have block plans.
So one of the founders worked for Jack Daniels Distillery.
Oh, I like them already.
Yeah, let's take that as a positive.
Yeah, that's definitely a plus in their favor.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got a free trial too, so you can check it out for for just a small run on something. But like you can do 5,000 pages for $25, and you if you use those credits in 2 days or 6 months, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what are those guys that only charge $50 for an audit going to do?
Well, they'll have some spare time. They can go learn to speak English.
Who was it? There was one guy they were talking about in one of the groups who claims to be one. He's done more audits than anybody, and like in the last 9 years, he's done like 3,000 of them. And it's like, wait, let's do the math on this.
Using Web Analyzer or something. That's his idea of an audit.
I don't know, but it wound up being like 6 or 7 audits a day.
Yeah,
it's like,
must be some top-notch stuff, eh?
I was working for a company doing about 7 or 8 a week. And like
but this was one guy.
More than half of those, yeah. More than half of those were like 30-minute audits. Like identify the top issues that you might want to talk about on a pitch.
And I have done that before, where I've started an audit, and after the first hour, went, okay, we just need to stop here. If you fix these things, we'll come back and do another audit. But these things here are all showstoppers. You might as well get these resolved first.
Yeah. Like 1/3 of the site is 301 redirects, and another third is 404.
There was one I saw. I don't remember if I told Doc about this one. Somebody had gotten a new office employee, and they wanted to keep the rogue bots and stuff out of the system, and so they flipped the switch in WordPress to hide it from all the bots.
There you go.
And they couldn't figure out why they're why their traffic went to 0, and it's like,
but it accomplished the desired result.
It certainly accomplished the desired outcome. And it only took a few minutes to find the problem. And
kind of like trying to put the fire out in your office with a backfire in the lobby.
Okay, so the reason why you're not indexed in Google is that every link in your site has a no follow attribute.
Yeah. Oh my God. There have been some very entertaining things over the years, that's for sure.
Somebody missed a real opportunity there. Just collecting all that stuff would make a best-selling book. I'd buy a copy of it.
That's why I go to, whenever I feel a little down about how my life is going, I go to Clients from Hell, and I feel so much better after just a few hours. It's like, wow, none of my clients are like this. Thank God. I don't think I could survive, and I know they wouldn't.
So all your canonical link elements are to your staging server that you need to log in.
Yep.
It doesn't work for
Oh, I just fixed somebody's product feed for shopping.
Yeah.
For Google Shopping, because they had all their what do you want to call, all their images were still pointing to the staging server, and it was just rejecting their feed out of hand. And I'm like, it says right here, none of these things have images, but we know they do. So I clicked and went, oh, these are all on your staging server. That's why. It took like 3 minutes to find, but they've been beating on it for a week. God. This is why we get paid.
There you go. This is why they pay us
that was
big
easy.
bucks, right?
That's my favorite response to, well, that was easy. It's like, well, you couldn't do it.
Yeah, I used to have a copy. The joke about the guy that goes and fixes the boiler with one bang of his hammer. I had a copy of that joke saved in a document, just so I could cut and paste it and send it to somebody now and then. Says, this is why. I said, any idiot can buy a hammer.
And swinging it harder and harder doesn't necessarily solve the problem. Sometimes it does.
It can be satisfying, but it's not going to fix the problem. Hey, I got my new swag
like
here from the folks at SEMrush, man. Got my nice sweatshirt.
Nice.
One of these days, Anton Schulke's going to call in his markers on me, and I'm going to be up a creek.
You know you're in trouble when the conversation starts off. So you're in Mexico, right? I need you to bring something to me.
Watosh ain't going there. I have an aversion to cellmates.
We used to tell one of my cousins, because he was always getting in trouble, say, you wind up in jail, you need to go find the biggest, baddest person in the jail and make him your boyfriend, because that's the only way you're going to survive.
You're going to be somebody's, so you might as well have somebody that can protect you.
You might as well be his. That's it.
Some comedian I was watching yesterday was saying, I'll screw you so hard that people won't know if you're farting or yawning. God, I fell on that chair. Bill, I got to tell you, the content in your show is really going downhill here.
And I take full credit for that.
You got to be more careful about the company.
It's my superpower.
Either be more selective in your guests or start fine-tuning your editing skills.
You know it's a problem when all the TV news people at a crowd see me heading towards them and they're all running and going, no, anybody but him.
Wow, that hour went quick.
Yeah, it did. That's it for a show today, I believe. Call it a day. Thank you, everybody.
Hey, thank you.
Mhm.
Have a good week.
Go make lots of money, as Terry likes to say.